Okay, so this video is just going to talk a little bit about how I develop my personal strength training system. And I think the most important thing to say is that this system is ever evolving, it's always changing. As I learn more, as I discover more things, as I just get more in line with what it is that I'm wanting to achieve. And as my athletes change, as my scenario changes. So my system that I use, say when I'm working in the school, will be different to online athletes. And it will change in the sense of what their goals are, what I'm trying to achieve, but there are still those fundamental things that will remain the same, and how it works and how I develop them. It's just the exacts I will tweak as I need to. To be honest, it's something that's grown over time, and initially I don't think I even realised I was developing a system. I was genuinely just laziness. Or not laziness, but frustration out of seeming to do the same things over and over again, and having to do the same tasks over and over again. And when I stepped back, I realised there were a lot of commonalities in what I was doing and how I was coaching, and how I go about things. And then I think the big thing with that is, as those frustrations grow, it was also as I gained a better understanding of myself and the business that we're in, and that the embrace the grind isn't something that I felt was necessary. I felt it's just something that we put as an excuse, because you've got to work hard, you've got to earn the right. Yeah, I'm going to do that, but why do I need to do that, doing the same things over and over again? Surely I can streamline that process, which means I can work harder doing the things that I love, which is the coaching side of it. And I love programming, think about that and analysing it, but there's lots of tasks within that are just very repetitive that I found myself doing over and over again. And as a result, was spending more time focusing on that and less time from A, coaching, B, my personal life, and separating myself as a person away from myself as a coach. The big things to think about that I look at is the basics don't change. The fundamental principles of strength and conditioning do not change. We have movement categories, we have different movement patterns. You need to overload the body, like specific adaptations to imposed demands. All of those things stay the same, and that's been researched and evidenced. So that can provide a baseline for your system. So for me, let's look at, well, I'm going to squat, hinge with a knee dominant, hinge with a hip dominant, upper push, upper pull, anti-rotation and rotation through the trunk. Well, there's the foundation of your system. And working within the school, that is at the foundation for mine, because I am focused more on that movement competency and physical literacy, so I need to make sure that I'm ingraining all of those movement patterns into my programs, into my athletes' day-to-day lives and training plans. So that's one thing that I've developed and knew that I really wanted to focus on. The other thing is time and logistics. So I have hour sessions because it's within a curriculum, but realistically, that could be 50 minutes because of coming from other lessons and changing. So my system had to develop to what I prioritize as like must-dos, nice-to-dos, and can-dos. Certain times on warm-ups, there's things that I want. The main components, there's certain things I want to hear. And then I've got those accessories. And so I'm now starting to provide that framework. If you go back to one of the other videos that I filmed on why I think a systems-based approach is the way forward, I broke it down into outline, components, and then elements. And that outline to me is essentially dictated, like the outline of time frame, the facility and the logistics of when they're in and out, that's all done. So then I can break that timeline into the components that I want. Now I know that I'm particularly working with sporting populations, and a lot of the things that I need to do is expose them to those faster, higher skill movements first. So there's my first component, is my warm-up into my plyometrics or whatever it may be. Then I've got my main lifts, and now those main lifts I can break into categories and look across the week as to how I want to fit them in, and then the accessories I might not need to put as much into there because A, I haven't got time, B, they're my what I look at nice to do's. Or that might be something that I put in my system is that my athletes need to do this in their own time, or something like that. And so the way I've structured that is a lot from anecdotal evidence, what I know works, and getting to learn from the school environment. But I have a very clear, when I approach how to plan something, like I said, that outline, what the components are and what the elements within those components are going to be. Because I've got those, I do it all off Excel and the templates that you've seen on the website and stuff like that, drop down menus, click and go. And having the system also allows me to add variation and not get stuck in routine, because I've got the component in there in this part of the workout, and say, what am I looking at? Knee dominant hinge movement. And that drop down menu actually gives me everything that I've programmed in there. So I don't just get stuck trying to think of something I want to put in there. I can have a choice, and quite often it honestly sparks, and I see an exercise and I'm like, actually, that's the kind of thing I want them to do, or actually that's probably going to be more appropriate than what was in my head. So not only does that system save time, it also can remind you and expose you to other things that may come in and out of your brain as you go. And quite often I used to find I would get stuck on certain exercises and certain methodologies, where it's nice just to make sure that I'm keeping a broader eye on everything that's going on. And again, what I've done there is I've always often worked backwards from the endpoint, and then built up through that. So that system within the school is, I could look at where I want them to be when they're leaving school. Now there could be different tiers to that, for if they're going to try and compete at an elite level or a competitive level, or it could just be having an understanding of how to train in a safe, holistic manner. So from there I can work backwards to the start point, or where the foundation start point may be, and that again can be anecdotal. For example, I don't start at push-ups. Particularly in a female population, I like to start with like a plate press from a bench, because it keeps elbows pinched and teaches a nice narrow elbow position, nice hand position on that plate, and it's easy to move, and I can progress them so everybody can move through the levels quite well, quite easily. And then I'm going to move into wherever I'm going from there. What that system also allows me to do is track the key performance indicators. So again, as I've said, in school, we look a lot more, because we've got a lot of the novice lifters, we've got youth lifters, they're going through maturation, all of that long-term athletic development. I'm looking at the key performance indicators as my progressions based on technical competency, not necessarily loadings. But also having that system allows me to know what to grade and which parts, which components, what I'm going to look at. So for example, I do look at volume load on a lot of their main lifts, because I want to see a gradual increase in the external volume of load that athlete is moving, because for me that is a greater indication that there is an adaptation happening. Not just their 1 rep max, not just their estimated 1 rep max. So that technical competency and volume load, I can link them to my different components in there that I'm looking for. Also within my system, I want to look at a wellness of an athlete and everything like that. Now I don't have contact with them on the weekend. So part of my system is that all of their wellness is 100% done on Monday. It's not as easy within the school environment always, or in any environment, to get, if you're not working at elite level, to get wellness every single day. So where does that fit into your system? How do you do it? All of mine is automated, because that, I personally think, puts the onus on the athlete, and they have to go and do it. But also, I don't have to spend loads of time doing it. Monday also happens to be one of my heaviest coaching days, so I don't want to be spending my time by hand collecting wellness charts. So I know that they come in on Monday, and I'll be able to see them either early morning, or I'll be able to see them in the evening and read them, or the next morning, Tuesday. So it's not the perfect way of doing things, but I know within my system where it fits. So the whole system is streamlined and gives me everything that I need to know. Don't get me wrong as well, it's not gospel perfect, this is exactly what's happening, there's still ability to go in and change it. But just by understanding that outline and the structure and the flow of what I'm trying to achieve, and then what I'm trying to learn from it, makes my life a whole lot easier. So hopefully that provides a little bit more of an insight, and I haven't rambled too much, as to how I develop my personal training system, and also provides a bit of an insight into how you might do yours, and why some of the templates that we've created are the way they are, and how that might benefit you.